Everyone, I'm Lisa Marie Falbo, and thank you for joining us on a very special episode of OSDIA Facebook Live. Tonight, we're going to highlight the important relationship that OSDIA has with the Alzheimer's Association. Before we kick things off with our esteemed panel here tonight, let's watch a video from Donna Mcella, Chief Development and Field Officer for Alzheimer's Association.
Greetings. My name is Donna Mcella, and I am the Chief Field and Development Officer of the Alzheimer's Association. On behalf of the association and the millions of individuals and families we serve, I want to thank the Sons and Daughters of Italy in America for your unwavering support of our vision of a world without Alzheimer's and all other dementia. The generous individuals who belong to your wonderful organization have raised over $1.7 million for our mission since 1995. You were with us in 2001 when we launched our 24/7 helpline, which offers confidential support and information to people facing Alzheimer's and all other dementia around the clock every day. You were with us in 2004 when we funded the research that fast-tracked FDA approval of the first PET imaging agent to show the progression of Alzheimer's disease in the living brain. You were with us in 2011 when the United States passed the law we championed that led to our nation's first plan to address Alzheimer's. And you've been with us ever since as we have successfully advocated for that plan to be implemented. Those are just a few of the many examples of the impact the Alzheimer's Association has made with the Sons and Daughters of Italy at our side. We continue to make steady progress toward the national goal of preventing and effectively treating Alzheimer's by 2025. But as I'm sure many of you know firsthand, families facing dementia need help today. This evening, you will learn more about the Alzheimer's Association's care and support services. I hope you will find this conversation interesting and useful, and I encourage you to call our helpline if you ever find yourself in need of information or support. We are here for you and because of you. Thank you again.
That's awesome. My name is Bob Bianchi. I am co-hosting with Lisa today. We're both from New Jersey, so it's a great honor to do that. But we also have another great honor here, and that's to have our foundation president, Joe Shiami. Now, he was the national president at one time over the entire organization, and now he runs the very prolific and well-organized foundation, which supports many charitable organizations like Alzheimer's. Joe, thank you so much for being here with us. And I'm looking at some impressive statistics, Joe, and nobody knows this better than you do. Since 1959, the foundation at the Sons and Daughters of Italy in America have given over $164 million to various charities and scholarships. And as we noted from Donna, a significant amount of that money and one of our pet projects is Alzheimer's. Can you tell us, what is that connection, Joe, between the Sons and Daughters of Italy in America and the Alzheimer's Association? Oh, you're muted, Joe, so we'll wait till you get off that, and no worries. It's the modern day COVID environment we live in today. And while Joe's waiting to unmute that, not a problem. So we have multiple organizations
I'm back
in America, including the national organization, the foundation, and the Commission for Social Justice, which fights discrimination and a positive image for Italian Americans. Joe, take it away with Alzheimer's.
Okay. What I would like to convey is the fact that the Order Sons and Daughters of Italy in America are great charity givers, but for a very long time, owing to our 115-year history, we have always been committed to helping people in need. And in the area of Alzheimer's, we've determined that through our local lodges, and there are over now close to 500 lodges throughout America, that we know that the people are in need in the area of Alzheimer's advice, as well as information in dealing with their parents and loved ones. And so it hits many a family. It may not hit us personally, but it could be a friend. I know myself, I have a friend that has started in her life, and she's slowing up rapidly. So I know that it's there. But what happens is that at these local lodges, they develop their own charity fundraisers. And once they raise the money, they funnel it through the state Grand Lodges and then right up to the Sons of Italy Foundation. And every other year, we have a wonderful national convention at which these state Grand Lodges come with their wonderful checks. and those checks then funnel up to the Alzheimer's Association. And what we really feel is that over the years, our donations to all of you have really made a difference because you've been able to put it towards research and study. And so we're finding out more and more that yes, new things are developing. It's not going to happen overnight. It never happens when there's some kind of a disorder in people's lives, but we are making a difference. And your videos, they're shown at all of our state conventions and our national conventions. So we know that you are making a real life difference. So I couldn't be more happy, Bob, that this opportunity to explain publicly as well as to the Alzheimer's team what a difference you're making for us in raising money for a worthy charity.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Joe. You know, we have 30,000 members and we have grand lodges and subordinate lodges across the country, north, south, east, and west. And so at the end of this, Justin will probably show you a little slide about how you can join the organization so you can be a part of what Joe is saying to contribute to such great organizations. I'd like to introduce you to a friend of us here at the Sons and Daughters of Italy in America, Jim Butler. Now, he is the retired president of a substance abuse treatment center in Chicagoland area. And at the age of 68 was diagnosed with mild cognitive impairment. And later that was changed to an Alzheimer's disease diagnosis. He lives with his wife, Lisa. Jim, thank you for being here. Can you give us a little bit of an understanding about your story, how it was that you came to this diagnosis, what the Alzheimer's Association is doing for you and why people should participate? And if you don't mind, your relationship to the Sons and Daughters of Italy in America as far as an association is concerned.
I'll be happy to. You're correct. I was diagnosed a little more than four and a half years ago. I was invited here to do this by the Alzheimer's Association. I'm joining you tonight from Michigan. I want to start off by sharing something with you. I'm only half Irish. I'm only half Italian. The other half of me in Irish was Irish, and but I have to tell you, the more fun side of the family was the Italian side.
Good man.
I can tell you my story now. Is that what you like?
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about your diagnosis and how the association has helped you.
Well, getting my diagnosis for the first number of months was just, my wife and I were walking around putting one foot in front of the other and trying to be above this thing, but it was scary, and we didn't know what to do next and that kind of thing. It was just a thing that happened to me that was really important is the Alzheimer's Association had support groups. And in those days, they weren't virtual like everything now. You could go to, in my case, in the Illinois chapter and go to these support groups. And that for me was pivotal in coming to terms with this diagnosis of mine. I see people that were a couple of years ahead of me with this disease, and they were doing really good. And I learned from them. And that was, really the foundation of me learning how to live with this was very much through the Alzheimer's Association.
Jim, just real quick, it's not just support groups for people who have the disease, but their families as well. Can you talk to us a little bit about that?
Both. They have them a couple of different ways. One group are the folks with the diagnosis, and the other group will be their spouses or friends or care providers, that kind of thing. And it was for me then, and to this day, I'm still on these support group calls a couple of times a month, and they're inspiring for me. And I think they are for most people that have the good fortune to be able to connect up with them.
Jim, we really appreciate you sharing your story, and I'm going to turn it back over to Lisa.
Yes, Jim, thank you so much. And our thoughts are with you for sure. Sure. So joining us now is Sam Fazio, PhD. Sam is Senior Director of Quality Care and Psychological Research at the Alzheimer's Association. Sam has over 30 years of experience in the field of aging, including research, leadership, and management, and direct care. And Sam was actually the recipient of the 2011 Leonardo da Vinci Award for Outstanding Achievement in Medicine from the Chicago area Sons of Italy. So full circle moment here for you. We love that. We're also joined by Monica Moreno. She is a Senior Director of Care and Support at the Alzheimer's Association, where she manages and administers nationwide programs and strategies serving individuals living with Alzheimer's and all dementia and their families. Monica, Sam, it's an absolute pleasure to have you here tonight.
Now we have it both unmuted and we're ready to go, Lisa.
Yes, good. So, Sam, I'll start with you. Please tell our audience, what is the Alzheimer's Association?
Big question. The Alzheimer's Association is really there to support everyone who's dealing with this disease. We're there for individuals living with the disease, family caregivers, professional caregivers, any way to move this. Our CEO always says that we're going to work really hard to put ourselves out of business, right? So we're working hard to make sure that this disease is no longer something that impacts people, and at the same time that there's resources in place for people to do have this disease to get what they need, the support and the education they need.
That's great. Monica, would you like to add anything to that?
Yeah, I would just say that also another part of our mission is research, right? So we have the care and support side, but we also have the research side, which I know OSDIA has been supportive of us from the very beginning, and really making sure that, yes, families have the programs, support services that they need to live with this disease, but also making sure that we're putting efforts towards finding a cure or finding a drug or treatment that actually can slow the progression of the disease, because we don't have that right now.
Okay, Bob?
Yeah, I'm curious, Monica or Sam, if you can let us know, how important is it, how vital is it for you to get donations for all this research and work that you're doing to support the patients? And if you can break down for us, do you get government assistance, private donations? And how much does an organization like the Sons and Daughters of Italy in America mean to you in terms of your goal to put yourself out of existence?
Yeah, and I can take this, Sam. Certainly the Alzheimer's Association is able to offer the programs and support services and award dollars to researchers because of organizations like OSDIA. We can't do our work unless we have organizations like yours who are supporting us and helping us to do this work. All of our programs and support services that the Alzheimer's Association offers are for free. We don't charge 1 penny for any of the support that families receive through our chapter networks across the country. That includes our 800 number, where they can call and speak to someone 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And the only reason that we can do that is because we have support from organizations like yours.
So obviously we're in the middle of the COVID-19 pandemic, and it's obviously impacted charities across the world. How have you been able to navigate through the pandemic in terms of fundraising and an operational standpoint?
Well, I can speak to the care and support side. On March 13th, I won't forget that date of 2020, we had received information from our leadership that we were all going to work remotely. Now, for us as an organization with 77 chapters across the country, to have to pivot from going to in-person delivery through our network, right? They were delivering programs and support services in person. We had to pivot to be a virtual delivery of our programs and support services. And what was really important to us as an organization is that we still had the presence in the communities that we serve, especially during COVID, recognizing all of the challenges that families would be encountering in not having access to services and resources, adult day services. Caregivers were really having to deal with providing all of that care without having access to any of those resources to help them to do this. I'm proud to say that with our chapter network, we were able to pivot very quickly in delivering our programs, our education programs, and our support services virtually and over the phone. And within the first 4 months, we were able to deliver over 15,000 programs across the country. And we had over 75,000 registrations of individuals attending those programs. So again, it was really a Herculean task, but we were absolutely able to do that and continue to provide services to those families who desperately needed us. The fact that we are dealing with COVID doesn't mean families are not still dealing with Alzheimer's disease and all of the challenges that come with that. So we're really proud of the fact that we were able to do that and remain, I think, a pivotal resource to our families who are impacted in living with this disease.
And
You know,
Lisa,
I have a question, Sam or Monica, if you can answer this. I'm interested in this 24-hour hotline that you guys have. Can you delve into that a little bit more? And what kind of calls do you get?
sure thing. I'd be glad to take that. So our 24/7 helpline, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Callers could call to get a simple question answered, like, where's the nearest support group to me? Or you could actually speak with a care consultant who's a master's level clinician. It could really talk with them and strategize and build an action plan together. And that could be around something that's maybe just as simple as, my husband is looking in the mirror and doesn't recognize himself. What do I do? To something a little bit more complex, like my husband has Alzheimer's and driving's becoming a problem. How can we help him realize that driving is something that he should not be doing? And so we get about 350,000 calls a year on the helpline, which is a lot of calls. We have a national call center, which is now, of course, remote, but it was a national call center down in downtown Chicago, where, like I said, it's staffed with helpline specialists and care consultants. And just on the research side of things, just to add, we've been doing a lot of research now in our care consultation and our helpline to see how calls are making a difference in people's lives. And we recently had an article published called "One Call Makes a Difference," where we were able to show that just one phone call with a care consultant was able to impact their stress and well-being, and also allowed them to take action on some of the steps they outlined collaboratively with the agent.
Lisa, I know you have a question, but before we get to it, if anybody's watching on Facebook, and I hope a lot of you are, because we've been running these series on Wednesday, including our Facebook Live series, which has been a tremendous success, please feel free to ask some questions. We have Justin down below who is willing to be able to pose those questions to our guests and our audience, because it's such an important topic, right, Lisa?
Absolutely. Yes, we definitely want to hear from you. But before we do that, yes, I do have another question. Obviously, we have Jim on the line who is battling Alzheimer's right now. And I understand that you are not only helping the caregiver, I think it's very cool that you're also helping the patients. How do you go about doing that, especially remotely?
Yes.
Well, you do it the same way you did it before, only you do it online like we are tonight. There's just all kinds of opportunities to engage, to participate, it's with the being with the association is why I'm here tonight. They asked me to come out here and tell my story tonight, which I'm more than happy to do. It's something I do that because I'm so grateful to be where I'm at, to have had the resources. I was from Chicago, right where Monica's talking from, and Sam is, and I was, I'm so grateful to have had all the resources that I got from the association, and so giving back is the very least thing I can do.
Monica, that has to warm your heart to hear that from the patients themselves about how much of an impact you and the organization has had on their lives.
Yeah, I will say, and Jim and I know each other very well because he was an advisor for the association. Back in 2006, the Alzheimer's Association made a concerted effort to develop programs and support services specifically for people living with the disease. Historically, we were founded by caregivers, and so all of our programs and support services were for caregivers. And I remember I started out in our helpline center, and when we would get phone calls from someone living with the disease, now this was years ago, I know I don't look that old, but it was years ago, we would have to transfer that call to a care consultant. And the question was, oh my gosh, somebody living with Alzheimer's disease was calling the helpline? It was such a rarity. I'm proud to say that's not the case anymore, right? We have really worked and focused and included feedback from people living with the disease, including Jim, who really helped to guide the types of programs that we're developing and offering across the network for people living with the disease. We know that they want to be able to connect and talk to others who are walking in their shoes and really understand what it's like to live with this disease. And so we're really proud of the fact that we have that portfolio of offerings specifically for individuals living with the disease as it pertains to education and support groups. And we offer those online. We're doing that in person, so we're doing that virtually, but really getting them connected to others so that they can build that support network and being able to live a productive and meaningful life, especially in the early stage of the disease, as Jim does.
Bob?
Yeah, I'm curious, with these programs, it sounds like you have a prolific amount of programs that people can go, both those who are suffering from the illness and those who are caregivers as well. And they can go to your site and I would imagine it's and Jim probably knows better than anybody here, a very lonely thing to have this and not to have any support mechanism. But what do these programs actually do? Is it like a course that you take, or is it just informational? Is it interactive? And lastly, because the lawyer in me just keeps wanting to come out with multiple questions. What are the metrics in terms of how many people are visiting your site and taking advantage of those programs?
Yeah, those are great questions. So, you know, we recognize that everyone likes to receive information in different ways. And we have about 15 core programs that we offer across our network, across the country through our chapters. We offer these programs, as I said, before COVID, we were doing these in person. We're doing them now virtually. But we also recognize that people may not want to go to a virtual support group. And so we offer a program called All's Connected. So this is an online platform where you can actually visit allsconnected.org, and you can connect with other people living with the disease. You can connect with caregivers, and really just thinking about the different ways that people like to get their information. The core programs that we have developed were developed over 10 years ago. And I like to joke that back in the day, the latest and greatest technology in delivering education was PowerPoint. We've learned a lot in that amount of time, and certainly technology has really played in the forefront of how people like to get their information, right? Mobile phone is how we're getting all of our information. And so we did a lot of learning from that and understood that people want to learn with bite sizes of information. They don't want to be overwhelmed. And when they get an education program, whether it's in person, virtual, or online, they want to be engaged. They want it to be interactive. So we have been making a concerted effort to redo all of our education programs using a platform that allows us to engage the audience, to be part of the experience versus sitting in front of a PowerPoint, a screen, and hearing somebody just speak to them. So we're evaluating those. We have a very robust evaluation process where we actually look to see, are our programs providing the information and knowledge gain that caregivers and people with the disease need, whether it's about the warning signs or how to provide care? Are our presenters, our community educators and support group facilitators doing a good job in sharing that information and delivering it and providing support and facilitating those support groups? And then we're taking that information and evaluating all of our programs to build evidence behind them so that we can say, if you take our financial program, we can demonstrate evidence that there's an increase in knowledge, but also that caregivers are taking action in translating that knowledge into action and creating a financial plan. It's very important for us to have evidence behind our programs that demonstrate that good outcomes come as a result of attending and participating in our programs.
Lisa, can I just ask one question real quick?
Yeah.
What do those outcomes look like? What are you seeing that these programs are doing to genuinely help these people get through this, horrible and pernicious disease?
Yeah, I'm going to transfer that over to Sam because he's our researcher of the group.
Yeah, sure thing.
We can touch a little bit on that.
Yeah, most of our programs, we look at not only knowledge gain, right? So before or after the course that you have increased knowledge, but we also look at variables that are important to caregivers, right? So are you more confident as a caregiver? Do you have more competence in your caregiving skills? How about your stress and well-being? Are you less stressed now that you have this knowledge and confidence and competence? And then, as Monica said, in some of the courses that have plans built into them, like financial literacy or something related to a specific type of caregiving or anything, have you taken that knowledge and translated into practice? So then we look at more longer term outcomes, 30, 60, 90 days. Are people retaining that knowledge and continuing to practice, change their behaviors?
Well, Lisa, that sounds pretty impressive. What do you think?
That sounds very impressive. And now that the spotlight is on Sam, I want to ask you about your 2011 award from Chicago Sons of Italy, and how did that all come to be?
Yeah, that's a good question. Yeah, it came. I'm connected with the organization through my brother. Of course, not like Jim. I am 100% Italian, as far back as I could go. So, really good Italian. And so I had the opportunity. It was actually towards with my work at the Alzheimer's Association. I was doing some specific research around the persistence of selfhood, which was really about how when somebody gets Alzheimer's disease, they don't lose who they are as a person, right? Memory loss does not equal loss of personhood. It just means you lost your memory. There still is a person that exists. And as caregivers, it's our responsibility to help recognize that that personhood still exists and help people maintain their selves throughout the disease. So they're always treated for who they've been their whole life. So was the core of my work back then when I received the award.
Yeah. Well, where can people watching right now find out more about you and the organization?
Well, the best thing would be to go to our website, right, Monica?
Yeah.
alz.org. And our website's developed really nicely where it's built for the audience. So it says, are you a caregiver? Are you interested in learning about disease? Are you a professional, a researcher? So it really navigates really well. One area that Monica and her team oversees is the Caregiver Center that's really filled with a lot of information about caregiving, as well as the programs and services that she talked about, access to the online support programs and things like that. And then the other way is to call our 800 number, and you could speak with somebody and they could tell you. So you could get information sent to you. They could send you links. They could send you hard copy materials. They could work through a question with you. They could tell you where the nearest support group is in your area. So either one of those ways are our best way.
Yeah.
Hey, Lisa, you know what I think is a good idea?
What?
I want to put Monica on the spot.
That's
And
always
Sam,
fun.
you may want to join in. No, I'm serious. You guys do such amazing work, and we're so proud to be affiliated with you. And have a guy like Joe Shiami, who's a past national president and foundation president now, leading our efforts to be able to contribute to an organization really means a lot in the heart of who we are at OSDIA. But Monica, what is your greatest success story? Like, what was the thing that just wowed you? And I'm sure there's lots of things, but that you were like, wow, we're making such a difference in the lives of people.
I would say our National Early Stage Advisory Group. This is a group that Jim Butler was in, and it was started in 2006. And this group of individuals, there's 10 to 12 individuals that we bring on board every year who are all living with mild cognitive impairment, Alzheimer's disease, or another dementia. And these individuals, like Jim, are so courageous to want to share their personal experience of living with this disease on a national platform. And in doing that, I always joke around, Sam and I can come on and talk about Alzheimer's disease till the cows come home. But when you hear someone like Jim Butler and all of the other advisors who are living with this disease talk about their experience and what impact this has had on their lives, and despite all of that, they have still chosen to live a meaningful and productive life for as long as they possibly can. That is powerful. And it instantly changes people's perceptions of who develops this disease. Now, all of a sudden, it's not the elderly person in a wheelchair who's not aware of their surroundings. It's Jim Butler, who is articulate, communicative, still living a good, productive life. And it helps to reduce stigma, which we know is a huge challenge for people living with this disease and their families.
Monica, you did so well with that answer that Sam actually muted his microphone because he was afraid I was going to say, Sam, unmute that microphone and you tell us your success story.
No, I didn't want any background noise to ruin that story of Monica's.
Thanks, Sam.
Yeah, I would agree with Monica that it's joyful every year to see the new group of early stage advisors come on board and share their story and really see how they could put a new face on this disease and help people understand what they're going through better than we can.
And if I could chime in on this for one moment, being an advisor for a year and change, and I look at that as one of the greatest gifts that I've had in it forever. I mean, I was I was put into that, and all of a sudden I had a whole bunch of mentors and folks that were covering this ground long before me, and I learned from that, and I got to share that. I'm blessed to have had that, and that's just the Alzheimer's Association. That's what they did for me and what they've done for thousands of people.
Well, Lisa, one quick thing. We have Anita with us, who's a co-chair of Alzheimer's for OSDIA, and she's been patiently waiting there. I see at least in my right-hand corner over here. Anita, thank you so much for the work that you do. Can you explain how you fit in as a co-chair or chairperson of this part of the Order Sons and Daughters of Italy in America, and what people can do to get in touch with us if they were interested in either joining or contributing to our efforts to help the Alzheimer's Association?
Well, this is a very sad disease. We all know that. And I'm just in awe of all the progress that's taken place over the past few years. And I sat in on a meeting back in August with the whole bunch of doctors and researchers. And I was amazed at what they've done. And the last thing that they discussed, and I don't know whether Monica or Sam can even talk about it, but the last thing that was discussed was a blood test that they're working on to determine if you have the gene or have Alzheimer's itself. So I'm very proud to be part of this, and the work you do is phenomenal, and the OSIA has been helping, and I think we're just proud to do that. And I do know a couple of people. As a matter of fact, my brother-in-law was just diagnosed a couple of weeks back with Alzheimer's. So it's very sad, and whatever the OSIA and myself can do to help, I'm here.
Thank you so much for all of your help. Lisa.
This was such a beautiful evening with all of you to learn about the Alzheimer's Association, everything you do, and how OSDIA helps. I mean, this is what life is all about, just good people helping good people. So I'm really happy that we got to give you such a spotlight here tonight. Before we break, Justin, how can people join OSDIA?
Oh, wait, before we get to that, Lisa,
yeah.
I don't know if we have any questions, Justin, I'm not sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Well,
Okay.
Before we, I know we're getting low on time, so we'll get to one question. But before we do, I wanted to mention that a viewer named Barbara Fumosa Trezuzzi, she wrote in and she said that she was able to get advice over the hotline when she was dealing with the disease for her mother. And so I wanted to give her a little bit of a shout out for writing that in as you guys were talking about the hotline. But I know we only have time probably for one question. So our lodge in Cincinnati was wondering, are there any new medications in the pipeline to slow down the progress or minimize the impact of all that Alzheimer's may have on somebody?
And Monica, you want me to take that, or?
You can. I'll jump in.
Yeah, I can't say the name because I'm not good at pronouncing it. Jean's really good at it, but yeah, up until now, most of the medications really work on symptoms associated with the disease, right? And so at that same meeting that Anita was probably talking about, we learned some information about a new pharmaceutical treatment that would actually work at slowing the progression of the disease, and that would really be a game changer for us. And so, Monica, can you say the name off the top of your head?
No, it's a very long name.
Yeah.
That decision is really going to be happening within probably the next month and a half. So, we're going to wait to see. We really appreciate the FDA's rigorous review of data and any treatment. And, certainly, hopefully this isn't the first, right? And it's because of organizations, again, like OSDIA, that we as the Alzheimer's Association can help to fund researchers that can help to find these types of treatments. And as Sam said, we've never had a treatment before that can address the progression of the disease. This disease can last 4 to 8 years and up to 20. And right now there's no survivors of Alzheimer's disease to this day. We want to change that, right? We want people to be able to live with Alzheimer's disease to a ripe old age. And we can't get there without the support of organizations like yours.
Right.
Thank you.
Lisa, before we close the program, and I'll toss to you in a second, I just want to thank our national president, Nancy DeFiore Quinn, who has battled with the organization going through COVID-19 in stellar fashion. It now allowed the series to begin, and our Chief Operating Officer, Joe DiGiapani, and Joe Shiami is the foundation president. We are doing cutting edge, novel technological things, and I want to thank them for their leadership and guidance. And our organization is thriving, it's moving forward, and Alzheimer's is not the only organization that we contribute to. You've listened to all the millions and tens of millions of dollars, and I'm very proud to be the first national vice president of this organization. And despite COVID, we are going to keep moving forward so that we can make sure groups like Alzheimer's are able to thrive and survive even during these this difficult period of time. Lisa, I'll leave it to you.
Yeah, and I really need to send a very, very special thank you to Alicia Dorman of the Alzheimer's Association. She has been so instrumental in putting this panel together here. And like I said, Alicia, if you're watching, you have a future in television. So not that I want to steal you away from the Alzheimer's Association.
Great.
Thank you so much. So Justin, how can people join OSDIA?
Absolutely. So if you're interested in joining our organization, you can go to osia.org, hit the member tab, and you can sign up online or find your nearest lodge. If you'd like to follow us on social media, we're on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, LinkedIn, and Pinterest. And if you have any questions, feel free to email us at nationaloffice@osia.org. And just to say the Alzheimer's website again, that's alz.org.
Thank you, Justin. Thank you, Bob. Thank you, everybody. Have a wonderful, wonderful night.
Great.
Bye.